As I grew older, I genuinely felt I'm short on time. I haven't done enough, and I want to do everything I haven't done right now. So I have no intentions of slowing down.
So Shefali is also an old friend. And at one point, we were sitting in my garden, and she was upset that she was not getting the kind of work that she should get. And she was crying. But since every story has to have some sort of twist, we heard a rustle in the bushes. And it turned out to be my son who was taking
Recording
a videotape,
it.
recording this whole thing. So some people have a sex tape floating around. She has a sobbing tape.
Maybe we should put it out now. I'll get popular.
But what I do remember is we were sitting down and we were really talking about work, and she wasn't getting the kind of work that she wanted. She was upset. And I said, well, why aren't you putting yourself out there? Why aren't you going on social media? Why aren't you doing all of these things? And we left that discussion unfinished. And then I see her being this badass on Delhi crimes. So how did that happen? Where was that change, and what changed from crying under that tree to becoming, the top cop?
It wasn't a planned decision. The only thing I decided after I did Dil Dhadakne Do, probably for the first time, I made a strategic decision, which was that I don't want to play mother to people who are just a couple of years younger than me. I'd done Dil Dhadakne Do, I got offered Neerja, and I got offered Kapoor and Sons, and I loved both the scripts and the parts. But I don't know why, somehow I felt if I do this, this is going to be the end for me. And then, there's probably been more waiting than actually working in my career. So I was waiting, and I got a call from Mukesh, a casting director, and he came up with this part, and Rishi met me. And I think within first 5 minutes of meeting him, I said, yeah, I'm going to do the show. I'm so glad because that kind of changed it for me.
You weren't just sitting and waiting. You decided that you were going to go and you were going to study. You went to study art. And then you also were working with an artist, you were painting. So how do you decide when it's time to hold on, when it's time to let go?
I just got bored of waiting endlessly. There's this need with every creative person, I guess. It's a need to expel what you're feeling, what you're going through. You need to use that creativity somewhere. And I'd just been as creative as I could with my children.
She was very creative.
Yeah.
And her children have painted their names on my dustbins, then denied it. Yeah. So she really had her hands full.
So then I decided that it's better that I go and use my creativity elsewhere rather than raising my sons. I found this course. I have to admit that because it was in Barcelona, that was a very big decision-making factor because my sons were in Sitges at that point of time, which is an hour and a half from Barcelona. So I decided to take up this course. Went there, lived like a student. You've done that. And probably the best thing I did for myself. And then they came up with this brilliant idea that you just want to come to Barcelona to do this course because you want to be close to us.
Which is partly true.
Yeah, partly true, but I didn't want to tell them that. But I think that kind of just reinstated how important it was for me to just go away and do something. And I have to admit, I have the privilege of being able to make that choice.
You spoke about getting depressed, and I know that you also do have some faith in therapy. Did you seek therapy, and how did that help you in the workplace?
I still have a therapist. I don't go to him very often, but I go to him just to keep my sanity because I've realized that, earlier what would happen is if there was an emergency, I would suddenly run. That's going to help you deal with that particular situation, not with overall being who you are. Also, you don't exactly have a lot of control about what happens around you. I didn't have a control over what work was being offered to me, not being offered to me, etc. All I could do was see myself through it. There's not much that you can change around you, but I think the way you react to it is what I think therapy is about.
What did you learn about resilience through therapy and on your own? Because I think even getting older, we've reached a stage, and I keep saying this, that, you really get comfortable in your skin, but that's also because your skin is not as tight as it once used to be. So what is it that age has taught you about resilience, and what did therapy teach you about resilience?
As I grew older, I realized we give a lot of time and energy to stuff that doesn't really matter. one of the things I learned was to pick the battles you want to fight. Every battle is not worth fighting. It's a waste of time and energy. It just
She can do it, I
exhausts you.
can't do it. Huh? I fight every battle. Whatever comes my way, I'm ready. I have to learn that from you.
No, but you know how I was. Like, I was like, Jhande ga, Arey, calm down. It's just fine. It's really fine. For me, gut has worked. My instinct has worked. Touch wood. And I think that never fails you. You may land up being successful or not successful, but that's not the point. At least you can take responsibility for the decision you took. It's not because of someone else and someone else told you do this. And you can live with that truth. So I think that has really worked for me. And the older I get, the more I realize that that's something I should just listen to. And go a little easy on yourself. I'm saying it, but I'm not necessarily very easy on myself.
No, I agree. The way we speak to ourselves inside our heads, we would never speak to a friend. I mean, there'll be days when I look at myself and say, oh my God, you're so fat. Would I tell anybody else this? Would I tell my closest friend? No. But I am telling the person I love the most, myself. We have these things that we keep talking about. You also are in a world where physical appearance matters a lot. And we've never really been very comfortable with this outer self, inner self.
Yeah.
Have you reconciled those two aspects of yourself? Are you happy with the way you look now, finally?
It depends day to day. Or probably sometimes hour to hour. Like it depends what I'm feeling exactly. Like probably immediately after getting my eyebrows done, I feel like, oh, I look like you who arrived and all that. One extra puri and that's it. That's it. I can't wear the Oscar gown. That's the end of it, right? But no, I don't think so. In all honesty. If I had a daughter, I'd probably just thuso it in her head that you are the most beautiful and only you can decide what is beautiful. I'm not blaming anyone else for... thank you. I'm not blaming anyone else for making me feel the way I do because honestly, like you discussed, it's primarily on me. I have to take onus. I just am not happy with... It's not good enough. And like exactly what you said, that's a thought that had come to me, that is this what I would say to a friend, to somebody I love dearly? Would I say that or be like, listen, okay, you have probably put on a little, but your eyes are gorgeous. Or, nobody can beat your sense of humor or whatever. So I am still learning. It's a day-to-day basis. Also, I have to admit, I have a very strong, touch wood, female gang backing me up all the time. So that's very important. I was thinking about this. I said, if anybody's asked, agle janam mein, would you want a different spouse, child, mother, parents? You kind of, I don't want to get into what I would want to say, avoid it. But ask about friends, and the answer is mostly, no, I want exactly these people in my life. It means the world to have your friends, because when you're feeling shit, they're the ones who hold you up.
Do you have a ritual where you kind of build this self-confidence, this self-esteem?
No, I don't. And I should have followed everything my friends say. Put it up on your mirror, look at yourself in the mirror and say, you are beautiful.
No, you'd be a blood. No, you would be a bloody bore if you did all of this.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I'm
wouldn't
very-
talk to you. Imagine if I come to your house and there's a mirror and you have like, I am beautiful. I'd be like, oh,
I don't
I don't want to know
look
you.
into that mirror. But no, there isn't a ritual. I wish there was, but there isn't.
Is there any advice you'd like to give all the young women there? How do they face success and failure?
I remember when Aryaman Maurya were really young, I'd taken them to Jahangir Art Gallery. And when we walked out and there were artists on the road, and Maurya said, I want to do this, I want to be a painter, I want to be an artist. I said, great, you must. I said, but there are paintings inside and there are painters outside. Do you see a lot of difference? He said, no, their artwork is equally beautiful. I said, so there are two things. One is art is subjective. What may be great for one may not be great for the other. So you don't undermine that first. Secondly, I remember telling him distinctly, you can do what you feel like doing. Just understand that you're not going to get the Mercedes with painting on the street. And you've got to learn to live with it. I can live with the fact that I will go to work and live in the worst conditions and travel by train or do whatever. Work like a dog 24 hours because I love what I do. There is this thing that if you love what you do, you never have to go to work. And trust me, it's not just a saying. It's a fact. Like, just love what you do. Follow your gut. by the end of it, that's the only thing that's going to stay with you, even if it is hanging.
If you have those
Yeah.
puris, yeah, it'll keep hanging, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's
You
okay.
have that.
I mean, yeah. And Spanx इसीलिए बना हुआ था. So, yeah.
I agree.
If I give you an opportunity to just change any one thing about your childhood, what would you like to change and why?
I was a very good kid,
Okay.
to the point of being boring. And then when I went into college, I snapped like a rubber band and went and did all the stupid stuff that I could. Then God had pity and said, okay, let's kind of get her life in order. But I wish I had that madcap attitude right throughout. It's not like I was controlled, but there is a way a girl is supposed to behave properly. You're not supposed to be mental like boys. I wish I could have been mental throughout.
Okay.
And I wish I was more ambitious.
Thank you
There's
so
a certain shame. You almost feel like, if I'm going there and asking someone for work, I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
There's this feeling that kind of really stops us from going out there and asking for the things that we want. How did that change for you?
Well, it's not like I still go and ask, but I do know when I see something, I will always get the number and text the director or the writer or the actors to let them know how much I love their work. And whether that translates into anything or no, but what it does is it does open a gate somewhere to conversation.
I had a friend who had moved from London along with her husband, who she claims is a better writer than her, but worked in finance simply because it pays a lot more. And the first time I met him, he asked me, why do you do what I do? And I said, because I'm passionate about it. And then he said, good for you girls, you get to do what you're passionate about. So do you think that's a privilege we have as women?
I'm really passionate about changing diapers. I'm passionate about toilet training. I'm passionate about, the school drop-offs. No, but I have to do it, right? Because that's part of what's on my plate.
Answering your question, it's not just women who sacrifice or, kind of work towards everyone else before themselves. There are men as well who do it.
I don't look at it in this binary manner. There's men, women. There's a privilege that you are allowed to pursue the things that you love, but there's also duty with it, and you have to balance both what you love and what you need to do. And every human being has those two aspects. I don't think that it's men or women.
When was that thin line or that turnover that you felt like, slow down, it's okay, kuch bhaga nahi ja raha?
On the contrary, as I grew older, I genuinely felt I'm short on time. I haven't done enough, and I want to do everything I haven't done right now. So I have no intentions of slowing down. I'll tell you what, so one of my friends, she turned 40 before. She's older than me. And she said, when you turn 40, a switch is going to go. And that switch actually went off, where I just didn't care anymore. I read a very interesting thing where I think there was a psychiatrist or, I don't know, researcher who was saying this, that it's not like women stop caring by the time they're 40 or 50. It's just that their estrogen kind of increases, so they turn more into men.
Decreases. Yeah.
Decreases, sorry. And they turn more into men, so that's why they behave the way they do behave. But
Mine was the opposite. I had such high testosterone when I was young. It was 11. A normal man starts at 9. And it's all gone. And suddenly I'm so calm. And everybody thinks it's yoga. It's not. It's just my bloody hormones have gone to the dogs.
and I just feel you kind of get a little more complacent about, if you don't like me, it's okay. You just, like, how much can you do to, I'm not pizza. I can't please everyone. Now, this is what it is.
That's a big lie. She was like this right from the time I've known her. Right from her early 30s. Yeah, she's like, if you don't like me, get lost. It was like that.
So I just want you to share some good memory from the shooting and the roles, whatever she have seen.
She's seen Delhi Crimes. What's the most memorable thing that you did in Delhi Crimes?
Okay, so there are two things. So I did Delhi Crime, and then I remember my sons watched it. So, one of the biggest things is you want to prove how cool you are to your children. It starts from there. So they refused to watch it at the screening. They said, no, we want to watch the whole show. They saw the whole show. One of the first things they said is that you didn't hit us enough. So I was like, excuse me? And he was like, you slapped that guy so badly, Mom. You just didn't hit us enough. So I was like, I can start. I mean, I can start today, it's fine. Anyway, and the second one, I remember Maurya saying this to me, which is probably one of the best compliments I've ever received. He said, you know, Mom, all the Avengers are reprised by different actors. But Iron Man is only Robert Downey Jr. He said, as far as Bhartika is concerned, you'll only be Robert Downey Jr.
Wow.
Which I thought was like, I was suddenly felt all the money gone into education was very good. Yeah. Suddenly.
I believe that a lot of men succeed partly because of their families, and all women succeed despite their families.
That's so beautifully said.
That's a fact.